Hello. My name is Hu Shang. I am at this moment in the United States, Norman, Oklahoma. It's February 3rd, 2015. I'm going to talk to you about the next giant leap for humanity. That's for people who live all around this globe, this lovely planet of ours. Let me start by saying what I mean by this next giant leap. We human beings have had 3 giant leaps in our history. First came with harnessing of fire. Second one was the gift of language. And the third one was writing. Now we have an opportunity to make the next giant leap. That is the adoption of a common language, which can give us the capacity to talk to any other human being anywhere on this globe. I'm 54 years old. My parents grew up, the name is not on the map, but they grew up right there in a mountainous area around Hamadan, in a village. When I was in high school, around 40 years ago, we used to go there in the summers because it was cool, it was beautiful, and we'd just go there, stay a week, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, just depending. And when the lights, when the sun set, you could imagine being 3,000, 4,000 years away. Literally, it was almost like you were living 3,000, 4,000 years ago. There was no electricity, no running water. That's when I used to go there. You can imagine like what my parents, when they were growing up there, what it was like. Now I'm in the United States, as I said. In my hand, I have a small phone, which allows me, along with, internet and everything else, to put this video online, and some child and somebody within a few minutes can access it right up there in that same village. We have, as human beings, a triad of blessings. 3 things. 3 things that sets us apart, which makes us, quote unquote, rule this planet. I'm using the word rule on purpose. I don't like it, but I'm using it on purpose. But can we rule our own passions? Can we rule our own egos? Okay, what are these triads? What are these 3 things that I mentioned? It's our ability to speak, our ability to listen, and see, of course. It's audio-visual ability that we have. And then ability to manipulate things with our hands. If you take any one of these, or even 2 of them, we have a lot of sentient beings out there that can outmaneuver us. They have more of an ability than we do, whether it's visual, audio, sense of smell. But when you put all those 3 things that I spoke of, our audiovisual capacity and our ability to manipulate, because we can hold things with our hands and shape it, That's given us the advantage, and again, quote unquote, advantage over other living beings. And right now, with the use of internet and satellite TV, we can educate any child anywhere on this planet with minimum cost. We can liberate this child. We can liberate these young people from menial work they do, from their hopelessness for their future, so that all of us can benefit from the energy and talents of all these vibrant people that unfortunately, because of certain circumstances, have their talent and their genius dormant in them. And they're chained or burdened with heavy burden of poverty or lack of opportunity. We can change that. The very first thing we can do is adopt a common language. I spoke Farsi growing up because I grew up in Iran. That was the national language. And my parents were Turkish Iranians because they lived in the villages around Hamadan. So their first language was Turkish. My maternal grandparents, for at least for one generation, they were Arabic speakers and Turkish speakers because they lived in southern Iraq because one of my grandparents was a seminarian. So I'm just saying this to show you the fluidity of language and communication we use day in and day out all around the world. It's not something that's etched in us on our tongues. It's a tool. It's a tool that artists can use to make the most beautiful things. And of course, somebody hateful can make the worst possible things out of it. But we have to adopt this common language. It's the language I'm speaking in right now. Call it English. Call it American English. Call it a version of Australian English, British English, but it's the language I'm speaking right now. And it's not my first language. I love Farsi, my first language. I think our poets have godlike, almost like godlike talents and genius. And I would never want that to go away. And I don't want anybody to lose their first and second languages, but we need to adopt a common language. I started learning English when I was around 12. And if we had the tools that we have now, I could have mastered it with the enthusiasm that I had because I wanted to come here to go to school, get a PhD, and go back to teach. I could have mastered this language within 2 or 3 years. And I know that ability is everywhere, all around the world, and all the young people that there are watching this, listening to me. I have full faith in their capacity. All I'm asking is that we unite, you help me actualize this wish and hope and take that next great leap. Because once we can speak to each other, regardless of where we are, fluently, and unburden our life from menial work, then sky is the limit. We can take that next great leap. Thank you. Join me.